Come and take a class at the Alter Academy.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another great episode of Alter Academy, where we have another special guest, fresh off his continental qualifying performance at Bologna, as well as first place finishes at Southside Gaming and Charlie's Collectible Card Show. Perhaps the best player in this format right now? I've got Thiago with us today. Thiago, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Oh yeah, very very excited to have you. It's like Zoolander in here with Tiago. It's like that Tiago is so hot right now, and so I really am just excited to pick your brain on Amethyst Steel. So, without further ado, let's get into it and just talk about this Amethyst Steel.
Yeah, let's do it. So, Amethyst Steel is like the most considered the most fair deck in this format. You have a super consistent game plan that you're trying to achieve every single game. And basically what we're looking to do is set up an early game where we're going to play a 1-drop on turn 1, a 2-cost character on turn 2, a 3-cost character on turn 3, and then we're going to bridge that into a mid game where we have all of these different card draw options between our Dumbo, Genie, Yzma, and Doc. And we're going to set up a board that is so overwhelming for our opponent while having a lot of different tools to be able to navigate the game. So basically, we're gonna try to look to use our alter phase to set up that early game plan.
Gotcha. And I see you're back on these four Yzmas, and it's kind of gone back and forth with the Yzma. So tell me how you settled on four and why you think that's the right choice right now in this metagame.
Yeah, I think this entire format, it's been correct to play 4 Genius and 4
Ah,
Dumbos. And then you kind of want more 4-drops than that. And so at the start of the format, I was playing Treasure Guardian. I think Treasure Guardian is in general a better card against specifically Blurple, just because getting the instant value from it is more consistently good than the value you try to get from a Yzma activation, just because it's so unlikely you get it. Because it's curving into the point of the game where they have their Elsas and Bells and Hades and Big Elsas, so she extremely rarely is able to use her ability. And so the Treasure Guardian just consistently being able to draw you an extra card and make your board go one character wider from that extra board guaranteed from that extra card is really important because that's one of the important ways that you can take down Blurple. But I think Yzma is in general better against most of the other decks, and it especially facilitates us playing cards like Fire the Cannons, which are in general not the highest quality cards. So um, it kind of runs opposite to what our deck is trying to do, where we're supposed to use our flexibility to create all of these incremental advantages throughout the game. But a card like Fire the Cannons is so one-dimensional and uninkable, so you end up having to ink a card that could be better in the situation to play it. And so you kind of lose the flexibility to create all of these little advantages.
oh yeah.
So then you end up needing a card like Yzma to kind of regain the card advantage.
Gotcha. I think that makes a lot of sense. All right. Well, without further ado, let's get into some alters here.
Yeah, let's do it.
And let's start, as we always do here at Alter Academy, with Blind on the Play.
All right. So, like we said before, we're trying to connect a 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop, and we are also trying to get a Genie and a Strength of Raging Fire. Those are the most important things in our mulligan. And so, what we're going to look to do here is we're going to look to keep our 2 Diablos and our Strength of Raging Fire. This is because we the Strength of a Raging Fire is the most important card in our deck, and so in our altar, we're looking really aggressively to try to find it. Um, Basically, the most important cards when you're blind are a 1-cost, a 2-cost, the Strength of a Raging Fire, and a Genie. You have so many 3-costs that it's actually better to throw them back because finding the Strength of a Raging Fire is so important in this format that we have so many 3-costs. Like most of the purple steel decks play like 14 or 15 3-costs. So if you don't keep them in your altar, it's like very likely you still get one.
Mm-hmm.
So um, basically, we're gonna look to do something like this. We're not trying to play 2 1-costs on turn 2, but it's important to make sure our Strength of Raging Fire is dealing 4 on turn 4. So we might have to keep one of them and play one of them on the second turn if we don't find any 2-cost characters.
Gotcha. Okay. Let's see what we get here.
All right, so this hand's really nice. We have the 1-cost, 2-cost, 3-cost, and then Strength of Raging Fire. obviously we would rather have a genie than this Yzma that can be really detrimental against the purple decks. Basically, the genie is important against the purple decks, which make up more than half the rooms, which is why we keep it blind. But then when you know your opponent's not playing one of the purple decks, you can stop keeping it in your opening hand. So if our opponent's playing one of the purple decks, it's not exactly ideal, but like this is an excellent hand no matter what.
Oh yeah, yeah. This is a very good hand. This is much better than what my opponent drew after he altered 6 against me in our bubble match to make day 2, and then he missed a 2 and a 3 drop, and I stole the win.
That is brutal. Yeah. No, you
uh,
should not miss your 2 and 3. That's not what we're looking to do.
no, no, no. That's we take those though on my side. All right, let's go into blind on the draw now.
Okay, so our altar doesn't really change on the draw. The one thing is this one fire the cannons that we're playing. Like sometimes you can keep it going second. If you have a different one cost, it's generally better to keep that than to keep the fire the cannons. Though after you know your opponent's deck, it can be good to keep. But in this hand, again, we're trying to connect one cost, two cost, three cost strength genie. So here we're going to keep our Palace Guard, our Calhoun, and our Strength of Raging Fire. And as we said before, we're going to throw back our 3 costs just because we have so many of them. And we are really looking for our key cards because in this meta, the difference between the most powerful cards in people's decks and the good and average cards in people's decks is so vast
Mm-hmm.
that we really, really need to dig for our cards like Strength and Genie because they create such a different axis that the game's played on when you have these cards versus when you don't. That having these mediocre 3 cost cards like the White Rose or Cobra or the 3 cost Genie makes so much less of an impact on the game than having all your key cards. So we would keep these 3 and throw the other 4 back.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yep, so we find a different 3 cost, so it doesn't really matter which 3 cost you have. The difference between your 1 cost, 2 cost, and 3 cost, the reason why I'm saying it in that way is because the difference between them is so little that we're really just making sure we spend our mana that turn, develop the board, and then have something to make sure our Strength of Raging Fire is dealing as much damage as it can. But it really doesn't matter which one we have, so the fact that we threw back the White Rose and got back a Giant Cobra is great. We have something to play on turn 3, and then we did find that genie, so that's going to be super important, especially if we're playing against one of the purple decks.
Oh yeah, yeah. This is a great hand. Um,
Yeah, we just back-to-back excellent hands.
yeah, and let's go into one of your better matchups: Amber Steel aggro on the play.
Okay, so when we know it's Amber Steel aggro, the only thing that really changes is that we're not looking to keep the 4 cost genie anymore. Some cards like this 3 cost Jafar do get better. I would be more interested in keeping it going second than going first. Um, our 1 drop Diablo is not excellent, but it's still important to keep because we need to make sure our Strength of Raging Fire is dealing 4 damage on the 3rd turn so it can take out any Tianas. So in this hand, we would just keep this Diablo, and we're looking for 2 costs and Strength of Raging Fires here.
Got it. All right, easy enough. And let's see what we alter. Ooh, and we got two
Awesome. Wow,
strengths.
this hand's spectacular. We have the Captain Hook, which is so much better than your other 1 costs.
Oh
We
yeah.
have the Strength of Raging Fires. 2 Strength of Raging Fires is frequently very difficult to get off because you sing it on the 4th turn, and then they can take out your Singer, and then it's kind of at the point of the game where they can easily take out whatever you developed on the 4th turn because it's curving into their removal spells now. But against Amber Steel, something you do very frequently is you go 1 cost, 2 cost, 3 cost, and then on the 4th turn you play a 1 cost, and then your 3 cost sings a strength, and then you spend 3 ink to cast a second strength. So that's
Oh yeah.
probably something we could be interested in doing. It also gets around our opponent having Troubadour or an Aurored out Tiana or Rhino Shift to give them an early Singer to be able to cast their Strength of Raging Fire on our Singer before we're able to sing. So we're probably going to plan to ink some of these expensive cards and then play whatever we're getting off the top. But Captain Hook into Madam M Tiny Adversary is really, really great against them.
Yeah.
And the Strength of Raging Fires to take out their Tiana is really, really important.
As an Amber Steel player, mostly this set, the Captain Hook Meta Mim line is my least favorite line to see.
Yeah, it's so, so strong.
Yeah. All right, let's go into Amber Steel on the draw now.
Wow, so we see a lot of the same pieces. In this hand, we're really, really missing a 1 cost, but we do have the Strength of Raging Fire and Madam M Tiny Adversary. The comment that I made about having 2 Strength of Raging Fires last game is more so a luxury rather than something we're really aiming to get. So we would
Yeah.
throw the second copy of Strength of Raging Fire back. And since again, we're only looking to keep 1 costs, 2 costs, and Strength of Raging Fires, and not keep the Genie 4 as we would in the blind, then all of this can go back other than our Madam Mim and our Strength of Raging Fire.
All right, and let's see what we get here.
All right, so we did miss our 1 cost, which is really, really brutal, but we can still be in the game here if we're able to go like we ink our Giant Cobra, and then we can ink our Dumbo and develop this Raja on 3, and then if our other Giant Cobra that we cast on the 3rd turn doesn't get hit with a Fire the Cannons or Strength of Raging Fire, and we can start contesting their like Daisy Ducks and Nalas, I think we're still in this game possibly, and of course we do have a draw to hit 11 1 costs, so
Yep.
I think this hand is not the worst thing of all time. A lot of your 1 costs can be pretty unimpactful, like your Diablos and Palace Guards are actually quite poor against them because they don't really contest their things very well, so the game is still playable for sure.
Perfect. All right, now let's go into the big bad of the format, Blurple on the play.
Yeah, so Blurple is really not a matchup we're super thrilled to get. It's the only thing that changes from our default strategy is that now we are going to keep a 3 cost in the Genie 3. So we're still doing the same thing where we're going to throw back our 3 costs to look for the most powerful cards in our deck, mulliganing super aggressively in this meta. But if we do find that Genie 3 satisfied dragon, we are going to keep it. So um, going first, the best 1 cost is Palace Guard. You do have to be a little bit careful in this matchup when you get into the mid game because if you quest with a Palace Guard, they can challenge it and put damage on it and then use their bell to move the damage from your Palace Guard to your Yzmas or Dumbos or your higher impact cards. But it's still really good going first. It's our best 1-drop to play on the first turn. And we have this Calhoun, which is our 2 cost. And so now we're looking for Genie's Strength of Raging Fire and the 3 cost Genie. So we are going to send back everything that's not our 1 cost and our 2 cost to look for our key cards.
All right, and let's see what we get here.
All right, so our hand is reasonable. We don't have a turn 3 play, but we have 14 3-drops, so we have a lot of looks to get them. And if not, we can still play like a 2 cost plus a 1 cost on turn 3 if we draw one of those. So that's
Yeah.
another 8 or so outs. But yeah, we're gonna look to play the Palace Guard into the Calhoun and then kind of go from there. But it's still a pretty solid hand.
Perfect. Okay, and let's go into Blurple on the draw now.
Yep. So here we have a 1 cost. This Madam and Tiny Adversary is so poor against them that I would probably not keep it, even though we don't have a 2 cost. So I think here I would only keep this Captain Hook and then send 6 back. We're really looking for Strength of Raging Fire going second against them. It's very, very difficult to win if you don't have it to sink. So an aggressive mulligan is
yeah.
pretty important.
Hey, speak of the devil.
Okay.
When it
Not
rains.
exactly what I meant.
Yeah.
So here we would have liked to find something to play on turn 2. But the Madam Mim is really, really poor that I think it's still fine that we don't have it. We're just going to need to make sure we play something on 3 to start singing some of these Strength of Raging Fires. One of these is for sure getting inked, and the Dumbo is also probably getting inked because we're going to be spending so much ink playing these genies and the cards we draw from them. But I mean, these hands happen, but we'll win the next game when we're going first. So
Yeah. All right, let's go into an Amethyst Steel mirror on the play.
all right, so here our game plan is the same, and we make the only same adaptation that we did against Blurple. We're trying to keep our 3 cost genies as well. So we have a 1 cost, a 2 cost, and a genie, so those cards will be kept. Usually on the play, you would prefer to have the Diablo than the Captain Hook, but against Amethyst Steel, where they have Calhouns, the Diablo gets frozen very easily, so it's actually better to keep the Captain Hook, which is going to later be able to trade up with their 2 costs and 3 costs, whether they're playing the Jafar 2 cost or Raja. It'll be able to trade into, and then it's also able to trade into their Calhouns, but then most of their 3 costs, right? Like if they're playing Pete's, or if they're playing the White Rose, if whatever crab buffing effect they have, be it Jafar, Yelena, or Lilo, it is usually able to trade up, so it's kind of important. And yeah, again, looking for Strength of Raging Fires is a common theme, right?
Yeah, the altar is the too long didn't read. Just send
Yeah,
send
find
back the
Strength of Raging Fire.
non-curve. Look for strength.
Yep.
But
Perfect. So we got our 3 cost genie, and we have Elsa. So on the play, this hand's really good. usually if you have the 3-cost genie, it's less. If you have exactly 3-cost genie into 4-cost genie into Elsa, it's not super important to have the strength of a Raging Fire. Usually you're able to contest the board pretty well. These giant cobras are generally very good in the mirror because the 4 health is really, really strong, and it's pretty awkward to deal with. But if you have the 3-cost genie, that's even better.
Oh yeah, perfect. All right, let's go into Amethyst Steel on the draw now.
All right, so we have our 1-cost, 2-cost genie. We're throwing back our 3-cost to look for Strength of Raging Fire. Again, the Diablo is not really a card we're interested in, even though the Palace Guard himself is not that good. He threatens to get Challenger +2 from our 3-cost Jafars to be able to take down a lot of the 3/3s or 3/2 resist ones that the deck has, so that is preferable, especially against a deck that has Calhouns. So yep, again, just aggressively mulliganing for the Strength of Raging Fire. In this matchup, it's really important to not let them snowball the evasives on you. That's why a hand like last game where we have the Genie 3 into Genie 4 into Elsa going first, we're almost always going to be able to get the initiative on the evasive war. So the deck is able to gain a lot of lore in the mirror very quickly. So if you ever snowball the evasives, then the game ends up ending super, super fast,
Oh
or
yeah,
they're just under really overwhelming pressure. So um, we're really looking for tools to help us fight in that sense.
perfect. All right, let's see what we get here.
Okay, so we got another 3-cost to be able to play. This Calhoun is much better to play on turn 2 than Raja. This Fire the Cannons can be pretty good. We might end up going 1-cost into 2-cost into 2-cost plus Fire the Cannons this game because we don't have the Strength of Raging Fire to sing, so it's less important to play a 3-cost on turn 3 to
Yeah.
represent a Stinger. And our Fire the Cannons might be able to take down their 3-cost if it's a Giant Cobra or if it's a Jafar that gives Challenger, as well as being able to take out all of the inkable 2-costs in this deck, be it Raja or Jafar slash Mr. Smee or Arthur War, whatever they're playing, all of them are dead to Fire the Cannon, so it's always a reasonable option.
Perfect. Yep. Yep. I'm a big lover of Fire the Cannons right now. It's never been better. uh,
Yeah, it's one of the cards that it feels so bad whenever you draw it. You're like, oh, this is awkward in so many different ways, but it definitely can take over games.
yeah, I did have one of my losses where I was at 19 lore to his 0, and I drew Fire the Cannon, Strength.
Oh yeah, that is very depressing.
Eh,
But yeah, most of the times you win that game, right? That's just
yeah.
terrible luck.
Oh yeah. Yeah. He went on to top 32. I did not.
Oh no,
All right.
that's your spot. He should give you the invite.
All right. Let's go to Emerald Sapphire on the draw.
Okay, so we drew our one of Fire the Cannons, which is really, really excellent. That's very well done. When you put one ofs in your deck, you're doing it specifically to draw in the only spot where it's good. So that's already A+ work. We're going to want to play our hand out really quickly. So this is one of the only matchups where you're looking to play 2 1-drops on turn 2. Excuse me. Um, in almost all your other matchups, it's generally poor to play 2 1-drops on turn 2 because our 1-drops don't replace themselves like they did last meta, where you had 12 1-drops that turned into other cards, and they also threatened on turn 3 to hit for 4 with a crab or a fox. So they're super unthreatening, and they destroy your hand economy. So you only are really playing 2/1 costs against like aggro decks when you have multiple Captain Hooks, basically, because the Captain Hooks actually attack for 3, so they're as good as your 2 costs, but generally your 2 costs more impactful to the board. But since blue-green plays the 7-cost Clarabelle, it's a matchup where we're really looking to play with very low hand economy anyways, so it's less punishing that these 1 costs don't give us a ton of value. Against blue-green, different from our normal mulligan strategy is we're not looking to keep the 4-cost Genie because it is very slow into Under the Sea and it's uninkable, so it's not flexible, and it draws us a card, so it goes into the same turn as their Clarabelle, and it's drawing us card to make sure their Clarabelle gets extra value, which is detrimental, actually. So it's much better to play these Dumbos and Yzmas on turn 4 because they have 3 attack and are very, very difficult to kill. The blue-green player needs like Clarabelle on 1, Ramp on 2, and then the Shift on 4, and you're welcome while having 5 ink to get there to be able to deal with Dumbo or Yzma on curve. So it's extremely unlikely that they're able to do it. So these cards generally get a lot of value, and they don't have evasives to fight the Dumbo. So it usually takes them a long, long time to deal with them. So I think generally the Dumbo is better than the Yzma. So since we have the option of the two, we would rather keep the Dumbo. Um, but then other than that, we are just keeping these one drops, the Fire the Cannons and the Dumbo. The Fire the Cannons obviously really important to take down their Clarabelle as well as their Baymax shift targets.
All right. Yeah, very interesting here. I'm usually not a fan of keeping the Dumbo, but definitely see it how the Emerald Sapphire deck just cannot take it out, and it can just kind of snowball from there.
Yeah, the only matchup where we would ever keep this card is this specifically because of the combination of their Clarabelle 7 and their Under the Sea and just us always trying to dump our hand. This matchup ends up warping into us vomiting our hand on the first 3 turns and then topping it off with a Dumbo or Yzma, which is different than how we play in every single other matchup. So yeah,
Yeah.
this is the matchup where we're changing our default our default altering strategy quite a bit. All right, so this is a nice hand. We got the Strength of Raging Fire, which is not that good going second, but is fine. Um, Basically, we're going to see if they play a Clarabelle on 1. If so, we'll fire the cannons it, but we are kind of interested in just curving out our characters so that we can develop a 3-cost singer. But I don't really know how I would play this out. I guess we would probably just not play for the Stumbo and then try to top deck a different card draw card later, um, because we really need to develop this singer
Yeah.
3. I guess the only thing would be if they play Clarabelle on 1, we would just curve um, turn 1 fire the cannons into turn 2, Calhoun into the White Rose into Dumbo, and then sink strength on 3. But um, if they don't play Clarabelle on 1, then I guess we'd ink Palace Guard for Palace Guard, and then probably just ink our top deck every single turn to
Yeah.
continue our curve, and then hold this Fire the Cannons forever, and it's kind of stinks, but that's probably how it would end up being played out.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, this is definitely one of the weirder draws.
Yeah, when you get these like uh Fire the Cannons plus Calhoun draws, it's like kind of awkward because
Hmm.
you always want to play a Singer on turn 3 to sing Strength of Raging Fire, and then since both the cards are uninkable and Calhoun like needs to be played on the second turn or the third turn, then they kind of stop you from your plan. So that's kind of one of the reasons why Fire the Cannon's like extremely awkward in this deck. But I think I think our hand's fine. We
Yeah.
either we kill the Clarabelle on turn 1 or we just don't play this Fire the Cannons, and both are okay.
Got it. Okay, and let's go into our final one of the day, Emerald Amber Sea Dogs.
Yeah, so basically this is again another matchup where once we know that they're not a purple deck, we don't need to keep the 4-cost genie anymore. So this is a deck where they we're super favored, but the games that they win, they play a lot of characters into the 7-cost tramp, and then they sing Under the Sea. So what we're really trying to do is avoid getting Under the Seed. So that means not playing 2/1 costs on turn 2 because all of those have less than 3 attack, and so they get Under the Seed, whereas all of our 2 costs have 3 or more attack, so they don't get Under the Seed. And then on turn 4, you can Dumbo or Yzma. It's okay, but you would rather play like 2 different cards. Ideally, you would play 2 different 2 costs because they all survive Under the Sea. Whereas if you have like 3 costs plus 1 cost, then the 1 cost would get hit by Under the Sea. Um, we don't have any 2 costs here, which really stinks. This is also the only matchup where you're throwing back Strength of Raging Fire because they have Ursula Deceiver, unless they're playing a Tiana version, in which case you just have to risk it and hold the Strength of Raging Fire, even though they have Ursula in their deck, which is like one of the strengths of their deck is they cause a lot of tension between you wanting to ink your Strength of Raging Fire, but then just instantly losing the game if they have Tiana. So, um,
Yeah, that's always
since
the
we
like big debate with against these Ursula decks is strength is the most important card versus it, and so it's like I don't want to keep it, but it's also like I need to have this card, and so it's like a
yeah,
delicate tightrope of
yeah, I think in this meta, it basically boils down to if they play the Tiana in their deck or not, because you will just instantly lose the game to Tiana, whereas you won't instantly lose the game if your Strength of Raging Fire gets taken. But I guess since we know that this is green yellow dogs, then we probably have an idea if they're playing the Tiana or not. Maybe we've seen a Pluto or something, or the Tiana herself. So if they are playing Tiana, we'll keep the Strength of Raging Fire. If not, we'll throw it back. And then the only card of this that we're keeping is the Diablo because we're really, really looking for 2 costs. All right, so we'll say they're the normal Chromacon version, so Chromacon and Under the Sea version. So we'll throw back the Strength.
Yeah. And how many Chromacon or how many dogs decks did you play against in Bologna?
Only one. I would have loved to play some more, but I played against only 4 different decks. I played against 3 blue-greens, 4 Blurples, 5 Amber Steels, and 1 Dogs.
Oh wow, so you just fed on Amber Steel.
Yeah, it was doing super well. So I played half my games against blue decks and half my games against yellow decks, and then my top cut was against the blue deck, so I played slightly more. But against the yellow decks, I played against 6. I 2-0'd all of them, and then against the 2 blue-greens in Swiss, I 2-0'd them also, and then the 2 Blurple opponents that I beat in Swiss also made top cuts. So like I was playing a lot of
Oh wow.
not the
Yeah.
easiest matchups besides the yellow decks. So it was pretty happy with the run.
Oh yeah,
So here
definitely.
we didn't get any 2 costs, which really stinks. But because this is like the matchup where they are by far the best because they always survive against Under the Sea. But um, yeah, I mean this game, if they don't play the nut curve into Tramp, we'll probably just still win because we're that favored. But really not the altar we were looking for.
Yeah, my conclusion from this episode is I kind of want to pivot to play this deck for Milwaukee. The
Yeah,
matchup
it,
spread is
it
just so much better than Amber Steel's.
right? It's like I feel like you auto win against everything that's not Blurple, and then against Blurple, like you win the die roll half the time, in which case you're favored, and then when you don't win the die roll, it's like fine, you just draw your Strength of Raging Fires or something. Like I didn't play the last season of the DLCs, but like people you used to have to like 2-0 like 5 games or something. In my 11 Swiss rounds that I didn't ID, I 2-0'd 9 of the games, and then I lost 1-2-1 and 1-1-2-1, and then I just had 9 2-0s. Like this deck is like so well positioned right now. Like you're so good on the draw, you just dominate so many of the decks people play. Like I don't know, I think it's like so unreasonably hated. I think it's super strong.
Yeah, yeah, no, well said. And before we get out of here, is there any shout outs you want to make?
Yes, you should follow my Twitter account at TiagoXS23. Usually every Saturday I'll post a Purple Steel deck list. The one that I posted the week before Bologna was like 2 cards off of what I played. I just changed 2 numbers. Like I cut 2 2-ofs down to 1-ofs and made 3 3-ofs, 4-ofs. And then the guy who got top 4 played exactly the same list, except he swapped like the 3 2-cost Rajas for the 2 cost Jafar. So he just swapped 2 different 2 costs and played the 57 other cards. So like it's always my most up to date list. It's yeah, you should check that out. And then also I have a Metafy if you want to learn how to play Purple Steel. Um, I know Metafy is not for everybody. It's not everybody's thing, but if that is your thing, then a lot of people have said it's helped them, so that's good to hear.
Yeah,
And
link down
then
in the
yeah, that's
comments for
about it.
that. Or link down in the description for that to check out Tiago's Metafy.
Yeah, and yeah, that's it for me. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it was wonderful to meet you at Bologna. Actually, like our first encounter was us finding your deck.
Yeah, no, that was a disaster. I was so tilted after my loss that I just walked away without my deck, which I've never done in like 13 years of going to these tournaments. But you and Jonathan Lamb came in clutch and then saved my tournament, so
Yeah,
I won out from then. So
yeah, that was
yeah,
huge.
you guys are
Thanks,
my
Jonathan
heroes.
Lamb. Oh, yeah. What are the odds? I just happen to stumble by, talk to you, and then I like get stuck there talking to Lamb, and then he's just like, "Hey, whose deck is this?" And he opens it up and he goes, "Is this Tiago's deck?" Because he like
He sees
recognized
the
one.
white rose. He's like,
Yeah,
nobody else would play this horrible card, only Thiago. And then they came running after me. I was like, oh my god, that's my deck.
yeah, yeah. Well, thank you for joining me. This has been a great episode of Alter Academy. I was excited to meet you finally. You've been kind of just the most consistent player this format, and so it's an honor having you on the show and just seeing what the inner workings and thoughts that you have for altering. And I learned a lot. It's kind of similar to Amber Steel, where it's just get your curve and send it all back for strength. It's like it's pretty similar, like how the two alterings of the steel decks work. So
Everyone wants to know my secret. My secret is Strength of a Raging Fire is by far the best card in the game. Look for it.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. That's basically what I learned here today. So, Tiago, thank you so much for coming out. Until next week, this has been Alter Academy. Bye, everyone.